So, breaking news update, folks. We have an update for you with regards to the Indian football team that will be traveling to Hangzhou to play in the Asian Games. Now, you remember that, of course, when the Indian football team was originally announced for this particular tournament, the Asian Games, there was plenty of excitement because you had three senior pros in Sunil Chhetri, Sandesh Jhingan, as well as Gurpreet Singh Sandhu, who would be supplementing what is in essence an under 23 squad, because the Asian Games is an under 23 tournament that gives you the provision to keep three players above that age. Unfortunately, as you know, we've been covering on Sports Day as well. There has been a lot of behind the scenes political wrangling, and India have had to name a totally different squad. In fact, I won't say totally different, but there are significant changes. The major significant change is that there is no Sandesh Jhingan and there is no Gurpreet Singh Sandhu in this particular version of the team. Sunil Chhetri is there, he leads the side, but otherwise there are a lot of changes that have been made. So I'll quickly read through the squad for you guys once, and then we'll discuss what are the significant changes and why exactly is it that they've had to happen. So starting with the squad, I'll just rattle it off quickly. You have Gurmeet Singh, you have Dheeraj Singh Marangatham, Sumit Rathi, Narendra Gehlot, Amarjeet Singh Kiam, Samuel James, Rahul KP, Abdul Rahim, you have Ayush Dev Chhetri, Bryce Miranda, Afzal Nurani, Rahim Ali, Vinci Barreto, Sunil Chhetri, Rohit Danu, Gurkirat Singh, and Aniket Jadhav. As I said, this is a very, very, very different side to the side that was originally announced. So you'd remember that originally there were a lot of players who were featured from the ISL who were top players, not necessarily players who would be regularly competing for the Indian side, but players who were good enough to be competing or starting for ISL sides, younger players. There were talks that Liston Kalako might be one of those players who would be there. He's not there in the side. And as Siddharth Das rightly points out, that this totally looks like an under 23 team. That is because that is exactly what it is, my friend. It is pretty much an under 23s team with Sunil Chhetri there as the captain. He's the only player there who actually boasts, let's say, the kind of experience, because everyone else, as you said, there are a lot of youngsters, and yes, there are some promising youngsters there. Rahul KP has done really well, and Aniket Jadhav is also a proven performer. Dheeraj as a goalkeeper, definitely right up there. But otherwise, this is a it's a much weaker team, dare I say, than the team that had originally been announced. But that is the unfortunate reality of, let's say, the situation that we found ourselves in as a nation. Now, what exactly is that situation? I'll just brief you in a little bit. The thing was that India had named a much stronger playing 11 at first, or playing 11, sorry, they named a much stronger squad at first, but they had done it without really consulting the ISL clubs. And the thing is that you think that the ISL would be okay releasing players for this. The simple fact is that the ISL actually had no obligation whatsoever to release the players for the Asian Games. Why? Because the Asian Games are not held in a FIFA window. Only international matches that are held within the FIFA window see football clubs around the world obliged to release players for such tournaments. Because it's not in a FIFA window, the clubs are under no obligation to release them. And not just because of the FIFA window thing, it's also because this is an under 23 tournament. So when it comes to age group football, clubs have every right to turn players like this, turn down the national teams. If you're wondering if this is something that's exclusive to India, trust me when I say it's not. I'll give you guys an example. The 2017 World Cup, when it was hosted in India, at that point, the England team that went on to win the tournament, they had the likes of Phil Foden and Callum Hudson-Odoi in their ranks. But the one player who most people were excited to watch in that particular team was Jadon Sancho, currently of Manchester United. Unfortunately, back then, his club, Borussia Dortmund, chose to not release him for more than a couple of games. So he didn't really play too many games. And people were really excited to watch him. They just couldn't. But there was precious little that the English Football Association or the FA could have done about it, because this was not within the, let's say, FIFA window, and it was an age group tournament. They had no control whatsoever on which players would and would not be released. That is exactly what has happened here, because FSDL, Football Sports Development Limited, is a private company that owns and operates the ISL, the Indian Super League. Therefore, there will in fact be no, let's say, previously what used to happen is that the AIFF president would give the instruction to I-League teams and the teams would simply comply. But that was also because the I-League was in essence owned and run by the Football Federation. The ISL is owned and operated entirely independent of the AIFF, and FSDL, you'd remember, had signed a commercial deal with the AIFF that does give them a significant amount of power. This is one of those examples of them wielding that power. Yes, they could have, in fact, let's say, said that, okay, we'll tell the clubs to release the players because national duty above everything. But sadly, that is not actually how the sport of football has ever worked. In football, it's always been club first and country second, because the clubs employ the players and pay them wages or salaries. You don't get wages or salaries for playing for your national team, as unlike the case, what is the case in, say, a sport like cricket, where international central contracts are the major driving force between a player's earnings. This time, though, I mean, the sad reality is, whatever your thoughts on the entire situation, what you can say is that this Indian football team definitely is much weakened and maybe probably might not necessarily be a medal contender. I'm putting this out there right now. Sorry if I've offended any sensibilities, but it is true, because the previous squad at least would have been stronger than a lot of the junior squads that would have been there of other teams. This, though, is an Indian junior squad with maybe a couple of players who've had regular exposure to the international level. I don't see them doing that much. I hope to be proven wrong. And of course, I'll be supporting the boys and hoping that they can prove me wrong. But this is a much weakened side than the side that was named previously. That side had a lot of players who were either full-time internationals or become on their way to becoming regulars with the national squad. This is very much a developmental squad that you're sending. And you can say that, yes, it is very much in line with the way that the Asian Games are supposed to work. The Asian Games is, in fact, for football at least, is an under 23 tournament with only 3 senior players allowed. But the Indian team, I think, we're looking to use this as an opportunity to fine-tune, let's say, their plans for the Asian Cup, which is of course coming in December and January later this year. So I'm not so sure it really serves much of a purpose, but the Indian football team will be there at the Asian Games. They'll be at Hangzhou. We'll of course be backing them, but what you're seeing right now, the squad that you're seeing right now, comes after a long and bitter, let's say, political battle that was taking place behind the scenes, and truth be told, in the media as well, between the AIFF and ISL. Ultimately, it is the ISL sides who won out. They get to keep their players because, don't forget, the ISL season will be starting on September 21st. So they didn't want to be without their key players, and they've won out. The Indian football team will be taking a weakened side to the Asian Games. We hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please don't forget to let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like it, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, tap that bell icon as well. Also follow us on social media. We're on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Don't forget to download the Sports app, and if you're already on the channel, right ahead and check out some other videos we've done. For now though, from my side, it's bye-bye.